10% spend more than that. And it was a bastard question. I was just test your critical thinking skills there. You'd actually ask the 80th percentile, because 20 are above, 80 are below. So I felt a little bad about that, so when I wrote the code for this one, I let you shade above. So watch this. If I put in 0.25 shading above, what quartile am I finding? I'm finding Q3, aren't I? Watch this. Here it comes. That's Q3. 75% is below, which means 25% is above. So I felt a little bit like a bastard after putting that on it, so I decided to write you a program where you can go above or below depending on the context. So if you're doing something like top 10%, top 20%, like you're talking about, like taking your kid to the pediatrician, I almost said veterinarian, taking your kid to the pediatrician, and then the top 10% of 2-year-old weights, then you can put in 10% instead of going 90%. So it saves one more math step for you. Fair enough? Okay, now I got a question for you. Good way to end up the day. You ever called anybody an idiot?
No.
Chuckle. No, never. Imbecile? Moron? Why do you do these things? Why do you do these things?
Some people are.
Because some people are. What is a moron? What is an idiot? What is an imbecile? Stupid people. Define stupidity.
Without common sense.
Keep going.
Mama, keep going.
Define stupid people. Moron. Okay, full idiot, ass, blockhead, dunce, dolt. Okay, here we go. Moron is actually an IQ term that has been phased out over time. Moron, idiot, imbecile. I'm going to go with IQ scale ratings. I'm going to see if I can find it this way. There we go. Here we go. Let's see. Historical IQ classification tables. Here we go. All right, back in the day. Here we go. This is, I forget when they stopped using this. This is 1928. All right, here we go. 1928. Precocious. Very high IQs. Very superior, very bright, average, dull, borderline, morons, imbeciles, idiots. So those terms actually come from IQ tests, not from people being stupid, but they've been trickled down. Now they're gone, we don't use those anymore. If you look up here, this was the 1923 very superior, borderline, backward, very bright. That's gone away now, and now we use, I think they're up here, bright normal. Where are they? Where are they? Hang on. You see bright normal anywhere? Very bright. As bright normal as thought. Very bright, bright. Bright normal, there we go. This was adopted in 1939. I'm assuming because people started realizing that you shouldn't call people morons, because moron became part of the common language for stupid people. So my question for you is not anything to do with that. We'll talk about that on Wednesday. What is IQ? Which is where all this comes from. What is IQ? What does it stand for? Anyway, it's an acronym first. Intelligence quotient. So what is it? Why is a normal IQ 100? Why is a normal IQ 100? Which it is. That's the definition of normal.
Average.
It's average. Why is it average? How is it? Intelligence quotient. What does quotient mean? Divided. What's being divided?
Mental age.
Mental age divided by
Like actual age.
your actual. Shall be perfect. The IQ is a quotient of two ages. Your mental age as measured by an assessment tool, and your chronological age as measured by how old you are. They divide those two numbers. If your mental age exactly matches your chronological age, that's a quotient of 1, and they multiply it by 100 to make a percentage out of it. So you're 100% IQ, which means you're just as smart as your body says you should be, or something like that. I don't know what IQ means, mind you. I have no idea what IQ actually means. I just know how to measure it and how to quantify it. So here's the deal. Young kids generally test off the charts on IQ scales because, as the test says, they're really precocious when they're young. So a 5-year-old that tests as a 4-year-old has an IQ of 120, which is pretty high, actually. We'll analyze why later in class on Wednesday. But in order for me to have an IQ of 120, I have to score 120% of a 40-year-old. So I have to test this 48-year-old. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means as far as intelligence goes. But that's why little kids generally, a 2-year-old that tests as a 3-year-old, which is not that far of a stretch, has an IQ of 150. Off the charts. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Off the charts. That's almost never seen. The standard deviation, just so you know, IQ has an average value of 100 IQ points. So now the units come back, Renee. Now the units come back. Has an IQ average of 100 IQ points. And the standard deviation by definition is 15 IQ points. Compare that to 0 and 1 from the standard normal. Well, you can't without a conversion. And that's the one formula. I've hidden all formulas from you guys in this class except for 2. The second one will show up on Wednesday. We have to know how to get back and forth between IQ and that beautiful curve that I gave you a program for, because I gave you a program called ST-normal, not J-normal, which is the general normal distribution, which is all the other bell curves, whether it's IQ, whether it's LDL, whether it's heights, whether it's weights, whether it's volumes of gas tanks, whether it's the amount of aspirin in a 500 milligram pill. All of those have a bell curve, but they're all different. So what we need is a template, a screwdriver. Just like you have millions and millions of screws, one Phillips head screwdriver will tighten down any number 2 Phillips head screw. That's our number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. These are all the Phillips head screws that we need to conversion back and forth. The screwdriver is the tool we'll pick up on Wednesday. Because I want to know people that have IQ between 80 and 90. That's dull normal, by the way, by that one scale. Dull normal, 80 and 90. Well, you can't just grab your TI and put 80 and 90 in, because it's going to think 80 and 90 mean 80 and 90 standard deviations. And that's really, 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 really high above average. But 80 and 90 are both what? Below average. So we need to indicate that with a conversion factor, which we'll do first thing on Wednesday, because we can't do it in 5 minutes. So between now and then, I would say knock out exam corrections. And you got 2 quizzes to choose from if you choose to do them for Wednesday. You've got 2 binomial quizzes. One of them is a straightforward binomial quiz where you actually just use disc fill. It's Sarah Palin. I love this. I read it in Rolling Stone a few years back about how Sarah Palin is somehow influencing elections. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Let's measure that. And you can conclude from that whether she is or not. The second one is a little exploration of those coefficients in the binomial. Remember when we were doing the chickens by hand? And we had those cool multiplier numbers out in the front. I call them the binomial coefficients. And with the 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, 3, 3, 1. The second quiz explores that. Should you choose? Some of you seemed interested in that, so I figured I might warrant a quiz as well. So, optional. Do them if you want to. Okay, doke. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday. We'll do some more bell curve stuff. And then next week as well. Because it's